Good morning students. So welcome to video lecturing on Riemann integrations, third chapter. So that is fundamentals of Riemann integrals. So this is the second session in this chapter. Let us take one theorem in this. If f and g belongs to R of a comma b, then f plus g is also belongs to R of a comma b, and integration from a to b f plus g of x dx is equals to integration from a to b f of x dx plus integration from a to b g of x dx. Here it is given that here f of x and g of x are bounded on a comma b, because they belongs to R of a comma means they are bounded on a comma b. Then the function f plus g is also bounded on a comma b, because here we know this one we studied in previous sessions. Let us take one epsilon greater than 0. Then there exists delta 1 greater than 0 and delta 2 greater than 0 such that up1f minus lp1f is less than epsilon by 2 with norm p1 is less than delta 1. Take this one as equation number 1. Similarly, up2f minus up2g is less than epsilon by 2 with norm p2 less than delta 2. Take this one as equation number 2. Let us take P, which is the union of P1 and P2. Then norm P is less than norm P1, which is less than delta 1. And norm P is less than norm P2, which is less than delta 2. We know this norm means maximum of. So norm is maximum value, here it is. So thus equation 1 and 2 are true for all the partition P. And now we have here, we know this one here. This is oscillatory sum. WP f plus g is equals to UPF plus g minus LPF plus g. So it is equals to, this implies here WPF plus g is less than or equals to, so it is UPF plus UPG minus LPF minus this LPG here. We have done this one in the previous sessions. So WPF plus g is less than or equals to, let us separate the terms here, UPF minus LPF, then plus UPG minus LPG. Let us take these two together. In these two, you can take here these two together and these two terms together. So we know this here, WPF plus G is less than or equals to, we have seen from equations this 1 and 2, WP1F minus LP1F is less than epsilon by 2. No? Here also same thing it is. So UPF minus LPF is less than epsilon by 2, and this UPG minus LPG is also less than epsilon by 2. So sum of these two is epsilon, we can take here. So thus for each epsilon greater than 0, there exists delta is equals to maximum of delta 1 comma delta 2, such that here WPF plus G is greater than or equal to 0 less than epsilon with norm P less than delta. So thus this function f plus g of x is a Riemann integration. This is Riemann integrable. So f plus g is Riemann integrable, that is f plus g is also belongs to R of a comma b. Now we have to prove that here f belongs to R of a comma b, then this implies here integration from a to b f of x dx, it is equals to, here we know this is the definition of Riemann integration, is equals to limit as norm p tends to 0, sigma r equals to 1 to n f of alpha r into delta r. So and here g belongs to R of a comma b, this implies here g is Riemann integration. So integration from a to b g of x dx is equals to sigma r equals to 1 to n g of alpha r into delta r. Now sum of these two is equals to, sum of, that is integration from a to b f plus g of x dx is equals to limit as norm p tends to 0, sigma r equals to 1 to n f of alpha r plus g of alpha r into delta r. It is adding these two equations. So this implies here, let us apply this this is limit for both the terms separately here, first term and second term. We know this is what here, this is from this above equation, we have this one is integration from a to b f of x dx, and this one is integration from a to b g of x dx. So thus this implies here sigma, that is integration from a to b f plus g of x dx is equals to integration from a to b f of x dx plus integration from a to b g of x dx. So this theorem is important, this one is important here. So this question appeared many times in the examination. And next one is That is here if f comma g belongs to R of a comma b, then f minus g is also Riemann integration, and you prove the same thing here. In place of g of x it is minus g of x, that is the difference between these two. So this you can do it afterwards. Exactly same, only in place of g you have to take here minus g. This is the difference. Take one more theorem. So if f and g belongs to R of a comma b, then f into g is also belongs to R of a comma b. By data here f comma g belongs to R of a comma b, then this implies here just we have done f plus g is also Riemann integration, it belongs to R of a comma b, and f minus g is also belongs to R of a comma b. So from these two theorems we have seen here this one. Now since f plus g belongs to R of a comma b, therefore its square is also belongs to R of a comma b, and f minus g belongs to R of a comma b. This implies here f minus g whole square is also belongs to R of a comma b. And here we have seen that, so if just we have seen here, if f belongs to R of a comma b and g belongs to R of a comma b, then f minus g is also belongs to R of a comma b. That is here this function is f plus g whole square minus f minus g whole square is also belongs to R of a comma b by previous theorem. Here it is. So if you simplify this one, you will get here, expand this and simplify, you will get here 4f into g belongs to R of a comma b. So that is dividing this one by, so if it belongs to R of a comma b, it also belongs to here, if you divide it by 1 by 4, it becomes here 4 into f into g divided by 4 is again here f into g, it will also belongs to this is R of a comma b. So this is also very important here. You can we can say here if 4 into g, f of g belongs to R of a comma b, it also belongs here f into g is also a Riemann integration. So this is also very important here. This is also very important theorem. So this is all about this result. Take one more theorem. If f belongs to R of a comma b, then mod of f is also belongs to R of a comma b. Take proof. By data f belongs to R of a comma b, thus for every epsilon greater than 0, there exists a partition P is equals to x0, x1 etc. up to xn, which is equals to b we know here. Such that here UPF minus LPF is in between 0 and epsilon. Take this one as equation number 1. So again if f belongs to R of a comma b, then this implies here f is bounded on a comma b. Thus there exists a constant k greater than 0 such that mod of f of x is less than k for all x belongs to a comma b, and this implies here mod of f is bounded on a comma b. We know this. If it is less than means all the values are, it is bounded above here. So that is maximum value is k, all the values are less than k. So mod f is bounded on a comma b it is. So let us take here infimum and supremum for this interval IR. IR is equals to xr minus 1 comma xr. So and let us take here infimum and supremum for this interval here for this function mod of f of x in this interval IR only. So let us take here for a comma b belongs to IR, we have mod of f of alpha minus mod of f of beta is equals to here. So this implies here it is equals to mod of f of alpha we can take here minus mod of f of beta, which is less than or equals to, which is less than equals to f of alpha minus f of beta. So and this implies here this is capital MR dash minus MR dash is less than equals to capital MR minus MR. That is here supremum minus infimum of the function mod of f of x, this one mod of f of x is less than equals to here supremum and infimum of the function f only, here it is. So for all n is equals to 1 to etc. up to n. So now UP of mod f minus LP of mod f is equal to sigma r equals to 1 to n here. UP mod f. So mod f means here infimum and supremum for this are capital MR dash minus small mr dash into delta. We know this is the definition of upper Riemann sum minus, so which is less than here, which is less than or equals to sigma r equals to 1 to n mr, that is here we know here from this this is a difference between supremum and infimum of the function mod f is less than or equals to difference of supremum and infimum of the function f. So it is less than or equals to sigma r equals to 1 to n mr minus mr into delta r. So this implies here UPF minus LPF is less than or equals to UPF minus LPF, which is less than epsilon. So hence mod f is also belongs to R of a comma b. This is, we know here. So this is the definition of a Riemann integration. So this implies here, this implies what here? Mod f is also a Riemann integration. So this is all about this today's session. In this session we studied 4 points. If f and g belongs to R of a comma b, then f plus g is also belongs to R of a comma b. And second one, f minus g is also belongs to R of a comma b. Third one, f into g is also a Riemann integration. And if f is a Riemann integration, then mod of f is also Riemann integration. So these 4 points we studied in this today's session. That is here, first one is what here? If here we have f and g belongs to R of a comma b, then this implies here f plus g belongs to R of a comma b. That is plus g and minus g. And second one, f into g is also belongs to R of a comma b. And this is first and second, third. And next one is here, if f belongs to R of a comma b, then mod f is also belongs to R of a comma b. So these 4 things we studied in the today's sessions, 4 theorems. These 2 theorems, f plus g and minus g also belongs to R of a comma b. F into g is also Riemann integration, and mod f is also Riemann integration. So this is all about the today's session. So in the next session we will see some more theorems on the same. This is fundamentals of Riemann integration. So thank you for watching this. And if you have any doubt regarding these theorems, you can ask me at any time. Thank you for watching this. Thank you very much.